You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Wednesday, the 5th of February. Residents in India's Delhi vote in high-stakes election between AAP and BJP. US military plane deporting Indian immigrants lands in India. And US funding pause could impact millions of women in South Asia, warns UN. The details. Thousands of voters began casting their ballots in India's capital, New Delhi, as the federal state went to the polls on Wednesday. The capital city, with a population of more than 20 million, is voting in a single phase to elect 70 lawmakers for the state legislature. The election is primarily a two-way contest between Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party, led by former Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Both parties have announced several initiatives, including revamping government schools, providing free health care and electricity, and introducing a monthly stipend for women if elected. Wednesday's election is crucial for Kejriwal, a fierce critic of BJP, who is currently out on bail after being arrested last year on graft charges. He relinquished the chief minister's post to senior party leader Atishi, but has stated that he will take over as CM if his party is re-elected. The BJP, which won 8 seats in the last election held in 2020, is looking to improve its tally, aiming to dislodge the two-time AAP government. Voting patterns in Delhi have been distinct, with many voters supporting AAP in state elections while favouring the BJP in national polls. India's main opposition party, Congress, is also contesting in Delhi, but many political analysts believe it has run a lacklustre campaign and is expected to perform poorly.
जी वादे तो जो करते हैं अच्छे ही करते हैं, लेकिन उसके साथ ये जो रिश्वत का काम चल पड़ा है ना, हाँ पैसे देंगे, हम ये देंगे, हम वो देंगे, फ्री देंगे, ये निकम्मा बना रहे हैं लोगों को उससे।
हमने अपने वोट का यूज़ जो किया है इसी के अकॉर्डिंग किया है कि हमारे जो बेसिक नीड्स हैं, जैसे एजुकेशन हो गई और जो हेल्थ है और जो हमारा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, सड़कें वगैरह जो हैं या स्कूल की बिल्डिंग्स वगैरह, उनके को सोचते हुए ही हमने अपने वोट का यूज़ किया है।
And a US military plane carrying illegal Indian immigrants landed in the northern Indian city of Amritsar on Wednesday, deporting an unspecified number of people as part of President Donald Trump's immigration agenda. While the exact number remained unclear in the latest reports, media sources suggested that the deportees were mainly from the northern state of Punjab and the western state of Gujarat. Although previous US administrations have deported illegal Indian immigrants, this marks the first time Washington has used a military aircraft for the purpose. It's also the farthest destination for such flights using military transport. Migration has been a key issue in India-US discussions since Trump took office last month and is expected to be a topic of discussion during his upcoming meeting with India's PM Modi, likely to take place in Washington next week. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio also underscored the Trump administration's commitment to working with India to address issues related to irregular migration during his meeting with India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar last month. Following the discussions, New Delhi stated that it would take back such illegal immigrants after verifying their details. Moving on. Ulema-e-Islam chief Maulana Fazlur Rehman has reiterated his call for fresh elections in Pakistan and called the polls held on February 8 last year rigged. Speaking to reporters after an event, Rehman renewed his call on the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz-led government to step down and announce fresh elections. He voiced concern over the expired term of Chief Election Commissioner, whose tenure has ended on January 26. The Pakistan government has passed the 26th, a new CEC is appointed. However, Rehman emphasized that consultation was required on this matter. Pakistan held its 12th national general elections on February 8 last year amid allegations of rigging and the shutdown of cellular and internet services. Moving on. The environmental crisis in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir is worsening as deforestation and climate change wreak havoc on local communities with little to no intervention from the authorities. A report.
The effects of climate change are becoming alarmingly visible in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir as deforestation, Unchecked exploitation of natural resources and government inaction have left the region vulnerable to ecological disasters. A local resident highlighted the once mighty rivers now resemble narrow canals, while forest fires, often linked to human activity, are forcing wild animals to move into human settlements. He blamed forests, a crucial environmental asset, are being systematically destroyed due to negligence and vested interests.
जंगल जो है ना वो बुनियादी इंसानी ज़रूरत है जो इंसान की बहुत सारी ज़रूरतों को पूरी करता है लेकिन हमारे यहाँ पहले इसकी ज़रूरत के लिए काटना स्मगल करना फिर इसको तबाह करना जलाना और उसके बाद इसको आग लगा देना ये बड़ी जुल्म की बात है और ये हम खुद ही इसके ऊपर जुल्म कर रहे हैं इसके लिए मैं समझता हूँ कि महकमा जंगलात को आगे आके इन चीज़ों को रोकना चाहिए.
Despite visible signs of environmental distress, the government remains largely inactive, leaving the residents of the occupied territory to manage on their own.
And a UN-aid official said on Tuesday that the US funding pause would cut off millions of Afghan, Pakistani and Bangladeshi women and girls from sexual and reproductive health services. The UN Population Fund Regional Director for Asia and the Pacific, P.O. Smith, said the agency was concerned about the funding loss, which could cause over 1,000 maternal deaths in Afghanistan alone in the next 4 years. Smith expressed deep concern that millions of women and girls now face life-threatening risk due to the lack of access to UNFPA's crucial services across Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan. The move coincides with a visit to Washington by Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu, who has long been critical of UNRWA, accusing the agency of anti-Israel incitement.
But this life-saving work is now in jeopardy. As you all know, on 24 January, the US administration paused nearly all US foreign aid programs pending a 90-day review. In response, UNFPA has suspended services funded by US grants that provide a lifeline for women and girls in crises, including in South Asia. As UNFPA's regional director for Asia and the Pacific, I am deeply concerned that millions of women and girls now face life-threatening risks due to the lack of access to UNFPA's crucial services across Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan.
Moving on. Sri Lanka's President Anura Kumara Dissanayake pledged to change the nation's image as a corrupt country as he led the island nation in its 77th Independence Day celebration on Tuesday. In a scaled-down ceremony in line with Disanayake's commitment to curb lavish government spending, he stated that despite countless obstacles and the deep-rooted flaws of the past corrupt political system, his government is steadily progressing and is committed to transforming Sri Lanka's global image. He further emphasized that his government's primary aim is to improve the standard of living for all Sri Lankans and urged citizens to work together to achieve economic, social and cultural freedom. Dissanayake, who was elected last year following his party's landslide victory in the November parliamentary polls, has inherited an economy that plunged into freefall in 2022 after the country's defaulted on its debt. Sri Lanka is now attempting to emerge from bankruptcy by restructuring its external debt with assistance from the IMF, a process initiated by Disanayake's predecessor, Ranil Wickremesinghe. And Nepal has officially banned solo expeditions to all mountains above 8,000 meters, including the Mount Everest, by amending its mountaineering regulations, according to the government publication Nepal Gazette. As per the new rules, every 2 members of a mountaineering team must be accompanied by at least 1 altitude worker or mountain guide. Along with this, the authorities have also formally publicized the hike in royalty fee for the foreign climbers attempting to summit Mount Everest from the standard south route in spring to $15,000 per person. Starting this spring, Everest climbers must also bring their waste back to the base camp for proper disposal. Climbers have long relied on unsustainable practices which have tarnished the region's natural beauty and created health hazards for local communities. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow.